Right Doc with Jim.
Yeah, Jim Hill, KKL 9 News. Congratulations, Skipper, when you're so close but still so far away. What's the mindset of your team to just still take it one inning, one pitch at a time?
Yeah, Jim, that is the mindset. We are so far away. I think just to stay focused and know that we still got a lot of work to do, a lot of good baseball to play. So today's a new day. We got a new pitcher. We're in a new ballpark, and we just got to, have that same sense of urgency and play good ball.
The third row on your right, Doc. Kirsten.
Dave, with Shohei Otani, how did he come in today? Obviously, he's in the lineup, but yesterday you had talked about just pain tolerance and kind of wanting to see and hear from him. What was that conversation like?
He was very adamant that he was going to play. I watched him take swings last night in the cage. Looked really good, strong. Ball was coming off the bat. So I think that there was more uncertainty in all of our minds, but in his mind from day one, from Saturday evening, he was going to play.
The second row on your right, Dave Barry.
Dave, you've never managed this team and not gotten to the postseason, but a lot of those seasons have ended in disappointment anyway. Other teams would take that as a real success. Like, what is it like to manage for an organization where the only acceptable outcome is winning the whole thing?
I think that, Aaron and I have that in common. I guess it's a privilege to be, with having those expectations. I love what I do, and I do it because I love the game and the players. And you just kind of sort of live with whatever result. But yeah, that's the reality of our two jobs.
Hi, Dave. Crystal Rich, KTLA. You said Shohei was very adamant that he was going to play. Did he mention where his pain level was at all?
No, not by any number. Obviously, there's some discomfort. I would say it's more discomfort, and that's kind of what I alluded to. It's subluxation. It's per individual's tolerance. Some swings are fine. Some swings were a little uncomfortable, but I think for me, it was more of we didn't feel like he was going to be compromised and he was going to play.
And did the imaging, the tests come back?
It just revealed the same thing as a subluxation. That's all it was, yeah.
Thanks.
So we were very fortunate.
We'll go to Jack in the third row.
Hey, Dave, how much do you guys kind of know what the pitching plan might look like tomorrow, and do you have to kind of balance that as you're going through tonight's game with a bullpen game on?
Yeah, it's certainly a bullpen game tomorrow. I think that is contingent on tonight, and I say that with all honesty because there's leverage guys in a plus game that I'm going to use, and if a game is kind of middling, or a different situation, then I'll use other guys, and I just don't know how we're going to come out of it. But understanding that we still have to cover 27 outs, 9 innings tomorrow to win a ball game, that's going to be the fallout, and it's all kind of dependent on how the usage of tonight's game.
Standing on your left, Bradford.
Dave, you mentioned that because Shohei's injury was on the shoulder that it was, that you didn't think it would necessarily affect his hitting, and then you were talking about watching some of his swings. Just for us lay people who didn't hit professionally, what role does the back shoulder play in swing mechanics?
It's not the front shoulder. I say that it is tougher because typically when a hitter is out in front or fooled, you lose the bat with your backhand, and the right arm, in this case a left-handed hitter, that's when you start to get vulnerable when your arm gets away. The back elbow, the back shoulder is more connected. It's just less chance to kind of get that exposure with a swing and miss or a ball out in front. So that's why, Cody Bellinger did it in 20 with the front shoulder, which is very careful. But again, in a vacuum, the back shoulder is better.
We'll stay back there with Bill Plunkett.
Yeah, is Brent Honeywell plan A for the opener tomorrow then?
No. He's we're planning on potentially using him, but plan A for the opener to start, probably not.
You want to tell us who plan A is?
No.
With Blake Trinan, have you seen some signs recently that the workload is getting to him a little bit?
No, I don't think so. I think that if you look back at the first game, he had plenty of rest, going into this series, and then obviously it was a back-to-back, and so there was some. I thought there was some mispitch location, some command things, but I would say, tonight there would be some kind of cost tonight. But I don't think that the workload leading up to the first two games, I think it was kind of in line. But again, this is a situation where tonight I'd have to be certain, if and when I deploy him tonight.
Second row on your right, Fabian, then Ron.
Dave, just to confirm on the MRI, there was no structural damage at all in the shoulder?
No structural damage.
And then did he do anything different today or yesterday that was different from Shohei's normal routine?
No, he didn't. That was what was encouraging, is he essentially did probably 80% of his normal routine yesterday. That was what was encouraging, and wasn't compromised at all.
And then with Walker, his stuff took an uptick at the last start. Is there anything that you can do that, because maybe it's sort of like that gives you confidence that that's something that can sort of stick for a start like tonight?
I think that was part of the layoff. I think that was some of it. I think some of it was the adrenaline. I could see. I think that the average fastball velocity should mirror that one. This is first time pitching against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, so he's amped up. So I do think that the stuff is going to hold. It's just now about, commanding the spin, the secondary stuff, and, pitching to all quadrants with this heater.
First row on your right, Mike Puma.
Dave, you alluded a little bit to this yesterday, but Otani, even if he's not 100%, what kind of psychological edge is it against the opposing pitcher, having him in the lineup?
Well, I think it's certainly an edge to us having him in the batter's box, and regardless of what limitations a pitcher might think he might or might not have, not many guys are willing to take that chance. And so, I'm just expecting him to control the strike zone, let the at-bats come to him, and, swing and fire when the ball's in the hitting zone. But, we're just very grateful that he's in the lineup.
Stay there with Tim, then Ron.
You mentioned that with the subluxation, it's a lot of times as tolerated by the individual. In getting to know Otani this year, how would you describe his pain threshold, pain tolerance?
So he definitely does some wincing, balls off the shin and things like that. But, when it comes down to it, extremely tough. And this was a big test for him because it's certainly uncomfortable. So not that there was ever any doubt that he was going to post, but he's a competitor. He wasn't going to not be in there.
And similarly, since it's a partial dislocation, was there any popping it back in of treatment? Okay.
There was initially, yes.
Yeah, like Saturday night.
Correct.
Right away, sort of
Correct.
thing. Okay, got it.
We'll go to Ron next, or Tyler, then Ron.
Oh, all right. When Otani has a scare stealing a base, does it give you any pause in terms of like how often he should be doing that? I mean, he was extremely successful this year, but he's also extremely important. What's the risk reward there?
Tyler, I don't typically try not to play. I don't play that game. It's you're still playing baseball, and most of his stolen base is equated to runs scored. And on this particular instance, I like the 2-out stolen base attempt, and it just happened that there was a sublux. If it were an 8-1 game or a game that the run didn't matter, I probably wouldn't have run. But in this context, they got to still play baseball.
And Ron next.
Is this type of injury it'll heal on its own, or is any procedure going to be needed?
That I don't know. I'm hoping it just heals on its own and it'll be an afterthought, but I don't know enough.
And Max mentioned while you guys were on the bus after the game, he sent the group text to the players that "Don't worry, I'll be all right." Were you aware of that at the time?
I wasn't, and I would have been helpful if I would have on that thread. I would have slept better Saturday night. So I wasn't privy to that until earlier today. So that would have been helpful.
Go to Barry in the second row on your left.
Doc, do you know, has this ever happened to him before?
No, not that I know, Barry.
Also, my understanding of this and covering it is that once it does happen, there's a chance of it happening again.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Go to Mike and then Juan.
Yeah, following up on Tyler's question, will Shohei still have the green light on the base paths?
He's not. I don't think he'll be running. I don't think he'll be running.
And he's slid numerous times this year. I think he's a great slider. What happened on that slide specifically?
I don't know. I mean, you can look at all the 50 stolen base that he had. It's the same slide. I don't know the answer. Yeah.
We'll stay over there with Juan.
Dave, you kind of mentioned it there, but is this something that you're going to have to check in with him tomorrow, like before?
Yes, I will. I'll check in with him, but I don't expect a different answer. But yes, absolutely.
A little bit further back on your left, Sam.
Yeah, sorry. Is Otani still getting treatment?
Yes. Just finished the hitters meeting. It's constant treatment and just making sure he's in a good spot. But yeah, he is.
Thank you.
Far back on your right, Bill Plaschke.
Yeah, Dave, if this were the regular season, would Shohei be playing?
You know what, Bill, that's probably a better question for Shohei, to be honest with you. I think that if the trainers felt that he wasn't compromised and wanted to be out there and could be out there, I would have no problem. But I think that because it's the World Series, I think the question is moot.
And we'll go to Peter near the front on your right.
Hi, Dave. With Shohei, just how would you describe your emotions going from Saturday night when you see him get hurt to now being able to put him in the lineup today?
Saturday night to yesterday when I saw him in the cage hitting balls 102 miles an hour off a tee, that was joy. And so now it's more of just kind of he's in there and I'm just thinking about the game. And I'm not really thinking about kind of where he's at physically. He's in the lineup. So that's all I'm thinking about.
About 4 rows back on your left, Dave.
Hey, Dave. I'm going to switch off the Shohei just for a second.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys aren't, I don't think you've seen Clark Schmidt this year at all. Only the two Hernandezes, Teo and Kike. And I think Shohei in an early game last year saw him. When you don't have familiarity with a starting pitcher, especially in a game of this magnitude, how does that, affect your guys than somebody you've seen before?
It's different. I think that there's a lot of technology, there's information, there's video, you're kind of looking at heat maps, but I think that until you get in the box to see how lively his cutter is, or what the sweeper characteristics in the batter's box to righty, or how much the ball's sinking with depth or run. So those things that you got to go in there and kind of learn yourself. But so yeah, I mean, I guess probably it's typically an advantage to the pitcher who hasn't, So I'd say the same thing for Walker in his case. But yeah, you're still trying to gather information and seeing certainly how the stuff's playing that particular night.
Do a few more. The second row on your left, Dave.
Yeah, I was going to give you a break from Shohei questions too. So, how do you handle the balancing act of you're trying to win, obviously, but also managing the bullpen and trying to make sure guys don't get seen too often by opposing hitters and all that? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think the game tells you, how to respond. There's a certain bet on how much you want to keep pushing and try to deploy guys to keep the game as close as you can. Live to fight another day type thing, go for the jugular type thing. I just, as much as you can obviously minimize runs, see their relievers as much as you can, that's of benefit. Taking the long and short view of the series kind of weighs into my decision making. So yeah, it's a constant kind of weaving in and out, but my pitching coaches do a great job of helping me to kind of sift through it.
Third row on your right, Pete.
Davis, you've gotten to know Ryan Brazier. What have you come to like about him, and how is he different than when you saw him in the World Series when he was with the Red Sox?
I like him more now. I think he's very calm. I like guys that have pitched in a hot box in huge baseball markets, sports markets, as he did in Boston. I like that. I just think that he can command the baseball. He's fresh right now, so I like where he's at physically. And like I said, he commands the baseball. He's been in a hot box. He's pitched in the World Series, so he's in my trust tree for sure.
Just two last ones in that corner on your right, Dave.
Sorry, going back to Shohei's conversation, but you say he's getting treatment. Is he getting medication or shot or tape on the shoulder? And if he has a taping on the shoulder, how much limit he has for the swinging?
It's all of the above on the treatment and stuff. The tape is just protecting and stabilizing, not really limiting.
One last one for Doc. We'll finish up right here.
Dave, when Tyler went down for the season, the players met, and it seemed to be a turning point. Can you recall that moment, and why do you think that moment in particular sparked them?
No, they just all came together. They all came together and knew we had a big loss in Tyler, and they just banded together. So I do think that give credit to the guys that knew that we lost a big piece to the puzzle, but realizing that they had enough talent and camaraderie in the clubhouse, and so they just all kind of came together. So that was certainly a good turning point for us.
All right, Doc. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it.